Hey there, Snapshot students. So if you don't know me, my name is Katie, and Pastor Aaron and I had a really long discussion earlier last week about kind of restarting Snapshot, and right now with COVID it seems a little impossible, just because there are some rules we need to follow to keep the elderly people in our church safe, and basically that's for us younger people to stay out of the church and not germ it up. So I thought it would be fun for us to start some video series where we do some lessons together, and hopefully you'll glean a lot from it. If you have questions, always reply to my email. If you want to discuss it further through FaceTime or something like that, Pastor Aaron and I would be happy to do that with you. So today's verse is from 2 John, which not Matthew, Mark, Luke, John at the beginning of the New Testament, but 3 Johns, then Jude, then Revelation at the end of the Bible. So 2 John at the end of the Bible, chapter 1, verse 6. And it says, love means doing what God has commanded us. Love means doing what God has commanded us, and He has commanded us to love one another just as you heard from the beginning. So from the beginning of time, God has always told us what? To love our neighbors and love others as we love ourselves. And if we do that, that's truly being obedient to God when we train ourselves to do those things. So the examples I want to give to you today are like, have you ever had a puppy or a kitten that you had to train, and you're constantly like, no, don't tear up the carpet, no, don't eat the shoes. It's a long process, right? It takes a long time to train them. Or say a toddler that is constantly getting into something like, no, don't eat the crayons, no, don't stick your fingers in the light sock, no, don't run into the street. It takes a long time to teach them those things. Similarly, it takes a long time to teach a child to walk, right? Like they have to crawl first, and then they have to walk, and then finally they can run. So that's how it is with learning to follow God's commandments and learn to be more obedient. It's a process. It doesn't just happen all at once. Ask any adult. We didn't just come out, we aren't just born being obedient to God. It takes time and practice. So if you look at the 10 Commandments, they're found in Exodus 20. They are, do not have any other God before God. Do not make yourself an idol. Do not take the Lord's name in vain. Remember the Sabbath and keep it holy. Remember or honor your mother and father. Do not murder. Do not commit adultery. Do not steal. Do not testify or fear false witness against your neighbor. Do not covet. So if you look at the first 5, you can kind of call them, the theme of them is love God, right? So do not have any God before God. Do not make yourself an idol. Do not take the Lord's name in vain. You're really loving God in those first 5 commandments. So, if you love Him and obey Him, why wouldn't you keep the Sabbath holy? Because you love God. If you really love Him, you wouldn't take His name in vain. But if you look at the last 5, you can sum them up by thinking of love, right? So, love others, or as Jesus put it, love your neighbor. If you truly love others, you won't lie to them, you won't steal from them, you won't want what they have, whether it's their stuff or their spouse. So it's simple to miss all that, though. All God really wants from us is for us to love God and love others. And Jesus simplified that in the New Testament. It's really that simple. Love God, love others. So when love decides what you do or don't do, doesn't it make sense that you would naturally do the things that please God? So, love decides that you don't lie to mom and dad. When you don't lie to your parents, then you're automatically loving God. And honestly, do you remember learning to walk? No. It was a process. So you crawled, and then you walked, and then all of a sudden you ran. And it's the same thing with learning to honor and love God and be obedient. And the verse even says, walk in love. So you're gonna have to take baby steps to get there. It may not come all at once, but it is step by step, decision by decision. First you crawl, then you take steps until you can really, really walk in love. And maybe it begins with understanding how to love God. Or maybe it means you leave today really committing to honoring your parents. Or maybe it means that you decide to take those first baby steps towards, sorry, that was a cat, towards always telling the truth. Or you quit wondering about white lies and commit to saying the truth, even if it's hard. So if you really look at it, God's commandments aren't giving us do's and don'ts. They're giving us guidelines to walk in love. And they'll help you be content and not always to look at others and see what they have. Wouldn't that be great to not look at the girl next to you and go, I want that? You know, and instead of being jealous, you see her and you love her. So when you take that walk in love, you take each step knowing it's because you too are deeply loved by God. And when you make mistakes, and we all do, even in learning to be obedient, Jesus is patient with us because he loves us. So the more you walk with God, the more you love God and love others, the more natural that obedience becomes, until one day you're just walking and it's just the right thing. All right, guys, well, I will not keep you any longer. I want you to know that as school starts, whether your parents have chose for you to online school virtually, or whether you're going back to the building, that you're being prayed for. Some of you are starting your freshman year of high school, and I'm praying for you. I hope that it goes amazing. Some of you have just graduated, and I'm praying for you. I hope that as you start your life as a young adult, that it is just the best thing. And if you need anything at all, I want you to know that Jake and I and Aaron are here for you, and we'd love to help you in any way that we can. Have a blessed weekend, and hopefully I'll get to send out a video lesson to you again next week. Thanks.